To save my fiancée from the blazing inferno, I suffered severe burns all over, but she completely turned her back on me and married my father's illegitimate son. She called him her perfect love. While I was locked in a basement to waste away, they were having a grand wedding, happily exchanging their wedding rings. But when I open my eyes again, I am reborn right as the blaze approaches, watching Lu Nu-yen desperately crying out for help. Amidst the raging sea of fire, I completely ignore it. I even slam the emergency exit door tight. This time, we'll let her and her perfect love perish right in those flames. Bak dat, save me, please save me. Smoke blinds everything, the fire reaches the sky, yet I just stand completely still. And suddenly, I realize everything. I have been reborn. Reborn right at the exact moment this nightmare first began. In my past life, I desperately risked my own life, rushing into the flames to save Lu Nu-yen. And right as the burning ceiling collapsed, I used my own body to shield her. The tragic result? I got severely burned, all over 80% injured, my face completely ruined. Meanwhile, Lu Nu-yen only suffered minor burns. Right after that happened, she knelt right by my hospital bed, swearing to take care of me forever. But then, she completely turned around and married my illegitimate younger brother instead. My own family slowly turned their backs on me, treating me like a complete invalid, and gave all their affection to that guy. In the very end, they locked me in a cold basement and left me to waste away completely. Bak dat, I am so scared. Please come save me. Lu Nu-yen's cries still echo out, while the blaze grows fiercer by the second. Massive explosions constantly echo from inside the burning building. Without a single ounce of hesitation, immediately run straight toward the safe exit, completely ignoring her crying and begging for help behind me. This is her exact karma. Without me stepping in to take the hit, this woman will finally pay the price for her deceit. Now watch this. When I hear about Lu Nu-yen's critical condition over at the hospital, they said she barely had a pulse. She was saved after multiple emergency procedures, but she is just barely breathing. Her whole body suffered over 70% burns. Her face ruined, likely living as a complete invalid for life. Hearing this news, I almost laugh out loud, but I force myself to simply fake agony, covering my mouth. On the outside, I look like I am deeply traumatized, hurting so much I can barely stand it. I perfectly play the role of the loving, devoted boyfriend. Meanwhile, Lu Nu-yen's parents, upon seeing their own daughter in such a miserable, broken state, just cannot stop fainting from extreme heartbreak. They spend a massive fortune hiring top medical specialists to treat her, but the results remain exactly the same every time. Lu Nu-yen will be an invalid forever. On top of that, her ability to have children is completely gone. Because her entire lower body was severely scorched in the fire, her womb is lost. Hearing this devastating update, Madame Lu collapses straight to the floor and faints. The Lu family comes from a scholarly lineage, highly valuing pure bloodline succession, and right now Lu Nu-yen is their one and only living daughter. With her ending up in this absolutely tragic state, it basically means the Lu family line ends here. That very night, the Lu parents start looking into surrogacy options. I am incredibly familiar with this exact kind of reaction. People are just like that. The grief is totally real, but they will not stay sad forever. They always find a brand new crutch to perfectly replace exactly what they have lost. In my past life, after I was severely drugged and burned, my father said nothing at first, but eventually, he fully chose to officially recognize his illegitimate son as the one to inherit our company. That guy was both smart and hardworking, plus, he had those incredibly good looks. He completely fit my father's ideal image of a perfect son. Right at the end, when Lu Nu-yen firmly decided to marry that guy instead of me, my father and my entire family silently agreed, giving all their love to that bastard. They even handed over every single thing I originally owned. Back in the day, I honestly did not blame my father, but after being constantly used and ruthlessly schemed against by Dang Than, I finally saw the true ugly nature of this younger brother. He always faked caring, visiting me, and every time he left, he would let out a fake, heavy sigh of regret. When other people asked, he would constantly say, "Please don't blame him. It is me who does not deserve this family," claiming I stole absolutely everything from him. And he even loved bragging to me about how much Lu Nu-yen loved him, how she completely relied on him. He forced me to look at their intimate photos. The more it broke my heart, the more arrogant he got. As for Lu Nu-yen, the woman I sacrificed my future to save, she actually helped facilitate This whole mess, I only found out later that she was the one who suggested my father take in his illegitimate son. She was the one who personally introduced this guy to my father. At the time, I seriously suspected if these two had planned this whole thing out from the very start. But back then, I had zero power to investigate. But here is the catch. This time around, I will drag every ugly truth into the light. After leaving the hospital, I drive straight home. Seeing me return completely unharmed, my parents clearly breathe a massive sigh of relief. Just like Lu Nu Yan, I'm also an only son. If this accident never happens, that illegitimate kid will never even get a chance. Even though Lu Nu Yan is now entirely ruined, I just tell them, I'm absolutely not leaving her. I will always stay right by her side to care for her, and we can figure things out once she recovers. Hearing this, my father smiles in pure satisfaction, nodding repeatedly. My family and the Lu family have shared a great relationship for years. So in this kind of situation, we absolutely cannot toss Lu Nu Yan aside. My father looks at me with eyes full of immense pride. In his heart, I am his ultimate masterpiece. Since I was little, I was incredibly smart, top of my class, with a razor-sharp business mind. In high society, I have always been the absolute standout, golden boy. That is exactly why, in my past life, my father could never accept the fact that I became an invalid. He would rather use absolutely everything to raise that illegitimate kid to completely replace me, just to regain his sense of superiority. 1 month flashes by in a blur. Lu Nu Yan still shows zero signs of waking up, but every single day, is it right on time, caring for her perfectly. The Lu parents are beyond deeply moved by my dedication. They just kept sending me these super valuable gifts, and obviously, I happily accepted every single one of them. Watching Liu Ruyan's parents growing weaker by the day really broke my heart, so the very next day, I brought them over to a children's home. I asked if they wanted to adopt a child. Faced with my totally sincere offer, the two of them just stood there completely frozen, able to even say a word. I understood their feelings perfectly. Sure, they were shocked, confused, and a little hesitant, but they definitely weren't against the idea. I had already done my homework and found out her parents had tried IVF before without any luck. Now, they were getting older, with their health failing fast, and it really worried them. They had secretly looked into adoption before, and honestly, they had no other real options left. Why? Because all those relatives were just waiting to snatch the Liu family fortune, instead of letting those greedy vultures get their dirty hands on it. Adopting a sweet, well-behaved child was a way better move. At least a kid would be grateful and repay their kindness. The only reason they still hesitated was worrying that Liu Ruyan might wake up and feel hurt, thinking they were being heartless. But right now, that was no longer an issue at all, because I was right there. I told them not to refuse just yet, saying this idea wasn't only for me, but for Liu Ruyan too. She is a wonderful daughter, so there is no way she would want her parents growing old and lonely, without anyone caring for them. I spoke firmly, my eyes tearing up as I gently guided them inside the children's home. They tried to politely refuse, but their eyes were immediately drawn to those sweet, cheerful kids playing all around the center. You could just see their eyes filling up with pure warmth and hope. Finally, they stopped trying to push back and actually started debating with me over which kid was the cutest. After spending the whole morning picking, they carried a huge stack of files back home to carefully look through them. Things moved super fast after that. Her parents finally went ahead and adopted an adorable 6-year-old boy, naming him Liu Kingan, and they hosted a massive adoption banquet, inviting tons of wealthy families to celebrate. But right in the middle of the party, somebody actually spoke up, harshly calling her parents heartless for adopting a total stranger while their own daughter was still fighting for her life in the hospital. They said they didn't deserve to be parents. I instantly shut them down. Keep your mouth shut. Outsiders have no right to judge. This was entirely my own idea. As Liu Ruyan's fiancée, since she had an accident, it is my absolute duty to honor her parents for her. Seeing them suffer so much really broke my heart. So instead of letting them grieve, bringing a child into their lives brings them joy. When Liu Ruyan wakes up, she would absolutely agree with me. I announced this boldly and confidently, right from the stage. Her parents were tearing up, wiping away their emotional tears. And after that, everything went super smoothly. Just as I was getting ready to head out, Liu Ruyan's mom pulled me aside and pressed several sets of house keys right into my hand, along with valuable property deeds worth well over $1 billion. But hold on, watch what happens right here. Our quiet drive home was about to get completely shattered. Out of nowhere, a young guy jumped right in front of my family's villa gate, blocking our car. The driver barely had time to react, slamming hard on the brakes. Both my mom and I got jolted violently forward by the impact. Once the dizziness faded away, I pushed the car door open, and a face that looked both familiar and super strange appeared right there. I let out a cold smirk. Yi Denkung. The second he saw me step out of the car, he looked like he had seen a ghost. He screamed out in panic. Ji Baida, you are still alive? Weren't you turned into a vegetable in that fire? Right. As he said that, our driver, Mr. Wang, charged forward to chase him away, furiously yelling, "What kind of lunatic blocks cars and curses our young master's family? Have you got no dignity at all?" But Yi Denkung totally ignored him, shoved Mr. Wang aside with brute force, and bolted straight for our car door, banging wildly on the glass and screaming out, "Dad, it is me. I am your son with mother Yue. Why did you forget about me? Please, just look at me." My dad was still completely freaked out, staring at the out-of-control Yi Denkung with zero clue what was even happening. Luckily, Mr. Wang quickly managed to grab Yi Denkung and pin him down. My dad panicked, yanked the car door open, grabbed my arm tight, and dragged me right back inside the car, while screaming in panic, "Baida, get inside now, this guy is totally crazy." To Yi Denkung, hearing those words hit him like a brutal lightning bolt, and his eyes instantly went bloodshot. He kept on screaming his lungs out, crying about old memories of being with my dad, but my father just looked over and coldly replied, "You are insane. You know, back in our previous lives, Yi Denkung was spoiled like a precious treasure by my dad, never once suffering this kind of humiliation." Even as our car pulled safely into the villa grounds and the iron gates slowly slid shut, Yi Denkung's miserable, agonizing wails were still echoing loudly, right across the courtyard. That piercing sound literally gave everyone goosebumps. My dad didn't even care about what just happened though, simply assuming that he was just some random mental patient. But I saw right through it. Yi Denkung had reincarnated too. Just like me, he kept all his clear memories from our previous life. But here is the crazy part. In our old timeline, Liu Ruyan should have already introduced him to my parents by this exact moment. But now everything had completely flipped. The person currently lying in a hospital bed, barely hanging on, was Liu Ruyan herself. And there was nobody left who could act as a bridge for him anymore. On top of that, the news about Liu Ruyan's critical condition had been kept totally secret by her family. Yi Denkung was just an ordinary high school student on paper, so how could he possibly know the truth? That is exactly why he panicked so badly, completely losing his cool and recklessly jumping out to block my car just to grab my dad's attention. Not long after that, a detailed investigation report about Liu Ruyan and Yi Denkung finally landed right in my hands. I honestly never expected that their secret, super dramatic love story had actually started 2 whole years ago. One was a wealthy young lady, while the other was a hardworking, super ambitious poor student. In just a matter of days, their whole connection, things were progressing nicely. Back then, Wu Nu Yen was still officially in a relationship with me. On the outside, we looked perfectly happy, but behind my back, she was secretly seeing Wei Dangthan. Lu Nu Yen wanted to help Wei Dangthan climb the ranks, but there was just no way to do it. No matter how talented Wei Dangthan actually was, the Luwu family would never accept him. So after I got heavily injured, she quickly made her move. She quickly arranged a fake paternity test, using the excuse of taking care of my dad to let Wei Dangthan completely replace me, finding him a perfect spot, a flawless position for him. And honestly, it gets even more bitter. Starting a whole year prior, Wu Nu Yen had secretly let Wei Dangthan study me. He learned everything I did, from my manners to my numerous business ideas and creative projects. The guy managed to copy it all with absolute perfection. Looking at all this, I suddenly started to suspect something. Even if I had somehow survived that terrible fire, Lu Nu Yen would still make a move. She still would have found a way to bring Wei Dangthan into my family. Obviously, she would create some sort of accident to make me disappear forever, or turn me into a cripple. But I am in no rush to expose their truth, nor do I want to take revenge on Wei Dangthan right now. The timing just is not right yet. They cannot escape what I endured in my past life. Half a month later, the hospital called. They announced the news. Lu Nu Yen finally woke up. Right then, I was at the Luwu house, drinking tea with Mother Luwu and bringing Luwu Than and some toys. When Mother Luwu heard the news, she was both surprised and pretty anxious. She hugged Lu Than and tightly, completely speechless for a good moment. After all, Lu Nu-yen had been in a coma for so long. The doctors actually thought she had zero hope left, that she might just stay unresponsive forever. Just a vegetable. Yet now, she actually woke up. I comforted the mother. Do not worry, Lu Nu-yen is a good daughter. She will definitely understand your pain. Plus, Than is so well behaved and smart. She will surely like him. Thanks to my comforting words, Mother Lu hurriedly made her way to the hospital. But arriving at the hospital proved one harsh truth. Anyone finding out they are disabled while their parents quickly adopt a new child would absolutely lose their mind. Now pay attention here. The scene inside that hospital room was way more chaotic than I imagined. Lu Nu-yen was frantically smashing things to pieces. Her face was twisted with pure anger. She screamed out, "You people have no heart. I am not gone yet, and you already brought an illegitimate child home. This Lu family belongs to me, and no one gets to take it away." The Lu parents were terrified, especially with Lu Than and having just arrived. He is still so young, never having witnessed a scene like this before. Yet the little guy did not back down, bravely standing right in front of his parents. He told them, "Mom, Dad, do not be afraid, and I will protect you." In that exact second, the Lu parents were so moved they literally broke into tears. After saying a few words, they quickly led Lu Than away, leaving behind a cold, decisive silhouette. Lu Nu-yen just sat there stunned on the bed, her mind completely blank. She just could not comprehend it. How could a freshly adopted kid snatch away everything she owned so incredibly fast? The answer is actually pretty simple. Lu Than is an absolute genius among geniuses. His language skills alone would make anyone drop their jaw in awe. In just a few short weeks, he could already communicate in fluent English. And when it comes to the arts, the kid is on a whole other level. He showed off some truly extraordinary talent. Right at his adoption banquet, he played an impromptu piece, leaving all the present music masters absolutely amazed. They could not stop showering him with praise. A famous musician even announced on the spot that he would take the boy as his official student. Just starting school, he already absorbed knowledge from much higher grades, and he always scores perfect marks in every single exam he takes. Before long, he became a prominent prodigy in high society. Over these past few days, he made the Lu parents feel incredibly proud and happy. Meanwhile, Lu Nu-yen screamed every single day, taking her anger out on everyone else. Now that she is disabled, it is just a huge disappointment. You can almost feel the tension snapping here. I told her, "Lu Nu-yen, why can't you be a bit more sensible? Have you ever thought about their sacrifices? How much pain they endured just for you?" I was the only one left in the room. I looked at her with pure disappointment and said, "My peace. If Than had not shown up, they would have completely broken down by now. Do you want to see them ruined?" After saying that, I angrily walked away. Inside the hospital room, Lu Nu-yen's miserable cries echoed out. I leaned against the door listening to that weeping and felt this strange, indescribable relief in my heart. A truly comforting lightness. Do not call me too cruel for this. I am merely recreating exactly what she did to me in my past life. Back then, I laid on a hospital bed, watching my parents and Wai Dang Than getting along happily, like I did not even exist anymore. As for Lu Nu-yen, seeing my twisted face, she immediately criticized me. She called me petty and unfilial, claiming my refusal to accept Wai Dang Than was slowly destroying my parents from the inside. At that moment, I was in so much agony, I'd not even express a single emotion. I could only watch them leave, without anyone caring about me at all. Now, at least Lu Nu-yen can still talk and move around. While in my past life, my entire body was paralyzed. Only my eyes and mouth could move. The suffering I endured went way beyond what she is experiencing right now. Much worse than her current pain. After I walked away, Lu Nu-yen continued making a massive fuss for days. At first, the Lu parents still loved her dearly, but then, they gradually grew disappointed. Her uncontrollable attitude and constant insults directed at Lu Than were just too much. Slowly, her own parents, the Lu parents, stopped visiting her altogether, just saying she needed time to rest. They even gave strict instructions to the hospital and all the nurses on duty. Nobody was allowed to visit. They feared Lu Nu-yen would say nasty things and end up damaging the Lu family's precious reputation. Meanwhile, I am the only one who can freely come and go. I established my position in the Lu family ages ago. They treat me just like their own son. Even Lu Than sticks to me like glue. He flashes this bright smile, calling me his big brother every single day. Meanwhile, Mother Lu constantly pulls me aside to chat. She tells me that once this rough patch passes, she's going to officially adopt me. You really are such a good kid, she says, always keeping your burdens completely hidden. Everyone knows with Lu Nu-yen's current ruined condition, she really shouldn't ever hope to find a good marriage. And someone like you, a wealthy young heir, how could you possibly be expected to take care of her forever? At this point, you've already done more than enough. Mother Lu proactively suggests adopting me, a smart move to maintain our close ties while completely avoiding any future mess. Over the next few days, I make it a total habit to drop by the hospital every single day. Every time I see Lu Nu-yen, I just scold her for being petty and ungrateful. Then I turn my back and walk right out. Day after day. Finally, Lu Nu-yen completely breaks down. She bribes the nurses, doing whatever it takes to contact one specific person. And that guy is Wai Dangthan, the man Lu Nu-yen loves most. The absolute second he gets the news, Wai Dangthan rushes straight to the hospital. Finding Lu Nu-yen lying in that bed with her face completely ruined, he panics. He covers his mouth, tears falling like absolute rain. My dear Lu Nu-yen, what on earth happened? Please don't scare me. Wai Dangthan never expected things to turn out this badly. It's so clear. He tried to protect her. So why did this happen? Lu Nu-yen sobs, claiming it is all Kai Bok-dat's fault. That ruthless bastard just abandoned her, only caring about his own selfish escape. If it wasn't for him, how could she have ever ended up looking like this? Hearing this, Wai Dangthan stays quiet for a long time before finally connecting the dots. Then, he pours out everything that happened in his previous life, revealing his own rebirth to Lu Nu-yen. They plot together for ages, finally gritting their teeth and reaching a wild conclusion. Get this. They actually think everything they're suffering is entirely my doing. Why didn't I risk my life for her? It's because I'm way too selfish. They decide to take revenge on me and steal back everything they lost. Watching this through the hidden camera, I can't help but let out a cold laugh. A pathetic loser matches a terrible person perfectly. Makes complete sense. One is even more shameless than the other. Very soon after, Lu Nu-yen kicks off her little master plan. She becomes totally different, quiet, super understanding, and every single time she sees me, she actually smiles, acting like absolutely nothing happened. Seeing her like this, Mother Lu softens up, occasionally visiting the hospital to check on Lu Nu-yen. Of course, they also bring along their precious golden boy, Lu Than-an. Every time they mention this son, the parents just can't stop praising him. Lu Nu-yen, An is a literal genius. He just took first place in his recent exams and even volunteered to play a piano solo for us at home. When an An makes it big, he definitely won't forget about you. Every time she hears this, Lu Nu-yen's face changes colors. She tries to suppress her rage, but deep down she wants to tear Lu Than-an into 100 pieces. A month late, Lu Nu-yen just can't take it anymore. She straight up tells her parents, I want to marry Kai Bok-dat. I know I don't deserve him right now, but I swear I'll work hard to be better. We truly love each other, and Kai Bok-dat definitely won't abandon me. After she says this, the whole room falls completely silent. Seeing no one answer, Lu Nu-yen grits her teeth, threatening to jump off the hospital roof if they refuse. Right at that exact moment, I walk in. Lu Nu-yen immediately grabs my wrist, stubbornly demanding I go to the civil registry with her. She even claims the wedding day is already fully arranged. The hospital corridor quickly fills up with a massive crowd buzzing with gossip. Some people even hold up their phones to live stream the drama. They whispered that Lu Nu-yen ended up like this, saving me. So if I refuse to marry her, I'm just an absolutely ungrateful, heartless jerk. Lu Nu-yen then unleashes her masterclass acting skills, suddenly grabbing a surgical scalpel and pointing it directly at her own wrist. Bok-dat, saving you was my own choice. I don't want to force you, but if you say no, I'll end my life right here and now. Watching this absolute chaos unfold, Father Lu finally steps up and aggressively snatches the knife right out of her hand. He yells at her, your mother and I have already adopted Bok-dat as our eldest son. He's your big brother now. Stop targeting him. Now pay attention. Here is where everything clicks. Lu Nu-yen, acting so sweet lately, was just paving the way for this exact theatrical stunt today. Most of these bystanders were probably planted by her too. Mother Lu looks at her with total heartbreak and says, Lu Nu Yen, your looks are ruined and you can't even have children anymore. If you force Bok Dat to marry you, aren't you just ruining his life? Marrying you would literally end his family line. The moment she says this, the crowd explodes. Someone yells out, wait, this girl can't have kids? So she's just a hen that can't lay eggs, yet she still demands a wedding? What a scam. Lu Nu Yen turns completely pale. Her entire body shakes, fist clenched tight, wishing she could just disappear on the spot. As a woman, having your biggest secret dragged out for everyone to mock is an unbearable humiliation. But the thing that truly shatters her into pieces is that her very own biological mother exposed this secret. No one in her position could ever accept that betrayal. While everyone is whispering and judging her so harshly, suddenly, a guy stands up to defend Lu Nu Yen. He shouts, fine, don't marry her, but he put her in this awful state. He should at least pay some compensation, give her half his fortune. Hearing this, Lu Nu Yen turns her head and glares right at me. She cracks a pretty cold smile. She clearly calculated everything here, knowing perfectly well there were no cameras at the fire scene. With no surveillance and no witnesses, she dares to fabricate these absolute lies about me. She's going on the offensive early, so even if I deny it, I'll just look like an ungrateful jerk. No matter what, she thinks she's guaranteed a win. Lu Nu Yen takes the chance to push further, adding wild details about me. She claims I fainted from the heavy smoke, and she supposedly risked her own life to drag me out, giving up her own chance to escape. This whole touching story actually brings quite a few people in the room to tears. But right then, group of reporters suddenly barges into the hospital room. Seeing me, they immediately swarm around. Mr. Kai, can we get an interview with you? You rushed into the fire multiple times to save people. Please tell us, what made you so incredibly brave? Mr. Kai, will you be attending the city's award ceremony? Everyone in the room just stares at each other, totally confused about what's happening. One reporter quickly pulls out a phone. The front page headlines on all the major news platforms are entirely about me, the wealthy heir, who fearlessly charged into the blaze to save multiple lives. The rescued victims even posted videos thanking this incredibly brave, unsung hero. And right next to those glaring red headlines are clear photos and live videos of me at the actual scene. Now check this out. In the footage, I'm moving incredibly fast, using my knowledge of the building's layout to make completely accurate decisions, diving into the most dangerous spots over and over to save lives. Even covered in thick soot, I stay entirely unyielding, never once stepping back until the firefighters finally arrive. The video quality might be a bit blurry, but every crucial detail is completely undeniable. At this exact moment, every single pair of eyes in the room turns straight to Lu Nu Yen. Everyone clearly understands the situation now. Did I really need her help? Plus, didn't she just claim I was completely unconscious? If that's true, who exactly is that extremely active and healthy guy in the video? Definitely not some ghost. Lu Nu Yen's face goes absolutely pale. She's just physically shaking right now, taking forever to stammer out that maybe she just remembered wrong. The second those words leave her mouth, the hospital room erupts. Her parents are too ashamed to even lift their heads, glaring furiously at their completely irresponsible daughter. By the time they drive home and check their phones, it's exactly as expected. The entire internet is flooded with brutal criticism, tearing apart Lu Nu Yen's incredibly fake persona. Everything in that hospital room was being broadcasted live. Someone visiting Lu Nu Yen saw things going south and quickly tried to cut the signal, but my team stubbornly kept the stream running. I had purposely upgraded the data plan just to capture this highly entertaining scene in full. Honestly, I've got a perfect read on every single one of Lu Nu Yen's schemes, and those security cameras are not just decorations. Catching on yet? Every plot twist in today's little drama has been resting firmly under my control. Lu Nu Yen's parents actually decide to take my side. Not a huge surprise, really. Besides our long-standing relationship, it's also because I directly exposed Lu Nu Yen's true colors. She didn't just want to ruin me. She sold the Lu family's corporate secrets to a rival, purely to get revenge on her parents. Given all that, they don't just want to cut ties with her. They absolutely refuse to help her out even a little bit. As for saving people in that fire, every detail is completely true. I had pushed her away, watching the flames erupt as everyone panicked. My heart clenched, remembering my past life, how I had struggled so desperately in a sea of fire. I understand that sheer despair. I had to save them. I've had actual fire rescue training, My stamina is great, and using the survival experience from my rebirth, I rushed into the blaze without a second thought, even inhaling suffocating smoke and getting badly scorched. I stayed tough and refused to stop. I just didn't want to see anyone else suffer the exact same agonizing pain I once endured. After getting everyone out, I quietly slipped away. It's not that I'm super noble or anything, simply figured that even good deeds need some moderation. Like right now, speaking of Wai Dang Than, he's currently sitting in a detention center, just waiting for someone to bail him out. Because he fully trusted Luo Nuyen, he actually went and stole those Luo family trade secrets. Father Luo is genuinely furious about all this, ordering his lawyers to fight this without any mercy. Even though his master plan ultimately failed, his previous actions are more than enough to land him in massive trouble. But honestly, I don't have time to care about him right now. The media outlets are completely begging for interviews, and TV shows are constantly inviting me on. The company is endlessly busy too, because thanks to this heroic act, our corporate stock prices have absolutely skyrocketed, hitting brand new record highs. My dad had been preparing for a long time, planning to gradually hand the company's heavy responsibilities over to me. Meanwhile, my mom spends her days at parties, absolutely thrilled to hear the guests constantly praising me. But the thing that shocks everyone is Father Luo. Instead of just thanking me, he reclaims all the corporate shares that Luo Nuyen was holding, and actually gives a portion to me. He calls it a welcoming gift for officially adopting me as his godson. Not long after, wild news drops from the detention center. Wai Dang Than and Luo Nuyen apparently share a child together. That's not even the crazy part. The issue is, Luo Nuyen knows absolutely nothing about this kid. Yet, Wai Dang Than firmly insists the child is hers. Turns out, they had secretly frozen their eggs and sperm abroad, and Wai Dang Than had quietly gone ahead and done it, secretly having this kid with Luo Nuyen. When her parents get the crazy news, they immediately drive straight over there, and after digging around, they discover the illegitimate child is already 1 year old. At first, they totally refuse to believe it, but Wai Dang Than pulls out crystal clear evidence, along with these super intimate photos of him and Luo Nuyen. Seeing that incredibly confident smirk on Wai Dang Than's face, the Luo parents start to actually waver. As for Luo Nuyen, hearing this news completely shifts her entire vibe. Even though her body is currently dealing with some injuries, she still absolutely insists on seeing Wai Dang Than. Anyone can easily tell they had a shady relationship way before this. Honestly, getting that DNA test is basically just a formality. The results come back fast. The kid is indeed Luo Nuyen's. From this exact moment, her parents are completely and utterly disappointed in her. Honestly, doesn't this whole situation just clearly prove that she was already secretly messing around with Wai Dang Than right from the very start? Holding this kid as a massive trump card, Wai Dang Than completely seizes the upper hand, but he is entirely unsatisfied with his current detention conditions. He demands to get medical bail. He spends all day obsessing over buying flashy designer goods. The second he feels even slightly displeased, he instantly threatens to take the kid and leave. Luo Nuyen's parents are so furiously angry, they just want to spit right in his face. But for the family's sake, they just bite their tongues and accept it. However, Wai Dang Than refuses to stop there. He suddenly demands to organize a massive wedding with Luo Nuyen. He doesn't just want to sign some marriage papers. No, he demands a totally spectacular, over-the-top ceremony. This massive demand gives Luo Nuyen's parents a huge headache, because a wedding means officially recognizing Wai Dang Than as their actual son-in-law, and from then on, treating him like real family. But here is the big problem. Everyone knows Luo Nuyen was fully engaged to me, even though we recently had a falling out. But honestly, do the math with me here. If Wai Dang Than has a 1 year old, Luo Nuyen was definitely playing both sides the entire time. And Wai Dang Than, he's just the third wheel jumping in. Right now I'm hitting my absolute peak era. If any rumors leak out about the fact that I got cheated on, it would definitely get Luo Nuyen, Wai Dang Than, and the whole Luo family completely blasted by the public. So they originally planned to wait a few days. But Wai Dang Than completely loses his patience. He honestly couldn't care less about public opinion or the endless words of harsh criticism. He's entirely sick of this hidden life. In the past, Luo Nuyen helped him sneak into high society, but right now, he realizes he has to fight for himself. Seeing Lu Nu Yen's parents taking absolutely forever to answer, Wai Dang Than just completely snaps and instantly releases all those intimate photos with Lu Nu Yen onto social media. He types out some dramatic post about how love finally wins and their huge wedding is officially being set. Lu Nu Yen's parents are absolutely furious, but they have no choice but to swallow the truth. Wai Dang Than's crazy demands don't just totally wreck the Lu family's reputation, they severely damage the company's public image too. But just for the sake of his precious illegitimate kid, they are actually willing to do anything. They don't just blindly agree to Wai Dang Than's demands. They also make the wild decision to take back the shares of the company they previously gifted me. And worse, they return Lu Than and the kid they just adopted straight back to the foster system. Honestly, even though I can easily brush off everything else, ignoring what happens to Lu Than and is totally impossible. I've been living with the little guy for quite a while now. I absolutely refuse to stand by and watch him get abandoned all over again. Even with my heavy influence, the parents of Lu Nu Yen stay incredibly stubborn about valuing their pure bloodline above all else. They even claim they only adopted Lu Than and back then because they lacked an heir. Now that they have a biological grandchild, they naturally cut ties with any outsiders. Hearing those cold words makes me both laugh out loud and boil with rage. I'm completely done arguing with these incredibly ungrateful people. So I make the call to bring Lu Than straight to my own house. My parents are genuinely thrilled to take Lu Than in. Since they handed the company over to me, they've got plenty of free time. So taking care of Lu Than becomes a real joy for them. Meanwhile, thanks to those incredibly stupid moves by Lu Nu Yen's parents, the shares of the Lu Group take a massive dive. Every single employee in the company is totally furious. They realize the Lu family is way too selfish, trying to run a massive corporation without caring about anyone else's well-being. Meanwhile, my own career is skyrocketing incredibly smoothly. On top of that, social media is backing me up more and more every single day. Everyone is harshly blasting Lu Nu Yen and Wai Dang Than online, while the public support for me just keeps growing massively stronger. 7 days later, Lu Nu Yen and Wai Dang Than actually hold their wedding. The Lu parents dropped a huge fortune on it, since they decided to fully back this grandson, so they have to see it through. But get this, even though the wedding is super lavish, the guest list is practically empty. I mean, who actually wants to attend a wedding for such a notorious cheating couple? Word is, right after the ceremony, Wai Dang Than gets absolutely furious and totally smashes millions of dollars worth of expensive jewelry. And Lu Nu Yen, she actually has the nerve to text me, aggressively accusing me of secretly pulling the strings behind all this mess. Kai Bok Dat, you set all this up, didn't you? Are you feeling pretty thrilled watching me struggle in such a huge disaster? Let me make this clear, I never once loved you. One day, you are going to deeply regret this. Reading that, I just laugh out loud and instantly fire back. Are you literally dreaming, or just lying to yourself right now? That mouth of yours only spews absolute garbage. I highly advise you to go check into a mental clinic right now. After sending that, I instantly block her everywhere. Fast forward 2 months, and I receive some absolutely wild news. Wai Dang Than's illegitimate kid is actually not Lu Nu Yen's biological child at all. He's his secret kid with a totally different woman. By this point, Lu Nu Yen's parents are just left completely and totally shattered. They sacrificed absolutely everything for this fake grandson, practically losing every ounce of their pride, and making bitter enemies out of countless people along the way. High-ranking employees in the company were furious, boiling over. Even so, Lu Nu Yen's parents still absolutely refused to accept the cold, hard truth. They actually suspected I was pulling the strings behind all this. A revenge plot, they thought. Without any hesitation, I immediately called the cops. And after a thorough investigation, the police confirmed my total innocence. This whole massive mess, entirely Wai Dang Than's doing. He deliberately faked the DNA test results, just to completely trick the Lu family and steal their trust. The whole Lu family brought this disaster upon themselves. Hearing the news, Lu Nu Yen's parents totally broke down. Both had to be hospitalized immediately. Only after they fully recovered and finally got discharged did they realize their precious company had completely fallen into someone else's hands. Their own relatives had secretly bought up the shares, completely snatching away their chairman positions. These back-to-back, massive Shocks made Lu Nuyen's parents age incredibly fast. Meanwhile, Lu Nuyen and Wai Dangthan were constantly causing a huge, chaotic uproar. Because right after finding out the kid was not actually his, Lu Nuyen changed completely. She started physically attacking Wai Dangthan every single day without fail. The two of them argued endlessly. Little by little, Lu Nuyen's parents fell into total despair over their daughter. After leaving behind a sum of money for her, they just vanished. And what about Wai Dangthan? After grabbing that cash, he grew incredibly arrogant. He just threw Lu Nuyen into the dark basement, completely ignoring her existence. In that very same basement, exactly where I lost my life in my previous timeline. Shortly after that, Lu Nuyen also perished. In the exact same way I did back then. She starved, all alone in that dark basement. She had tried asking Wai Dangthan for help so many times, but he didn't care at all. He just scolded Lu Nuyen for being way too weak, saying her spoiled princess attitude could never be fixed. A full week after Lu Nuyen passed away, Wai Dangthan finally noticed. In the end, Wai Dangthan was given the ultimate punishment. After Lu Nuyen was gone, her parents finally showed up to handle her funeral arrangements. However, instead of packing up and leaving quickly, they actually came looking for me. Or to be very specific, they were looking for Lu Than. Losing their daughter and son-in-law one after another made them finally remember the young boy that they had previously completely brushed aside, treated as an outsider because of their old age. Plus, those back-to-back shocks. They no longer cared too much about passing down their own direct bloodline anymore, but it was a real pity. Lu Than was no longer around. Those two probably had absolutely no idea that Lu Than had already returned to his actual biological family. He is the long-lost son of Long Mat, the absolute richest man in all of Asia. So when they came all the way to the nursing home, I immediately showed them this huge news. The richest billionaire in Asia had found his kid, and the person who helped his precious son out was none other than me. He repaid that huge favor by helping me rapidly grow my career. Only at this exact moment did Lu Nuyen's parents finally realize just what kind of massive opportunity they had totally missed out on. If they hadn't abandoned Lu Than back then, just based on raising him, his biological parents would have definitely rewarded them incredibly generously, just like what I have right now. But at this point, absolutely everything was way too late for them. They could only bitterly praise the idea that good deeds get rewarded, then quickly left. I just smiled. Honestly, I have never actually been that kind of a person. Now listen closely to this part. I already knew everything about Lu Than's true identity way beforehand. Back then, while lying on my sickbed, the media reported that Long Mat's second son got poisoned by enemies and tragically starved inside a local nursing home. That absolutely horrific end. So cruel. It made everyone feel incredibly heartbroken. But now that I am back and fully ambitious, I knew for a fact this was my golden chance. I deliberately led Lu Nuyen's parents straight to the nursing home, just so the director would specially introduce Lu Than to them. I had already investigated thoroughly, and found out that after Lu Than left the nursing home, he actually lost his memories. But that kid was still incredibly, undeniably brilliant. A child like that, Lu Nuyen's parents were guaranteed to pick him. But sadly, they were way too cold and deeply selfish. Just for their own biological daughter, they fully wanted to toss Lu Than aside. Meanwhile, I could perfectly bring him right to my side without anyone raising a single suspicion. Just as I had totally predicted, Wai Dangthan's illegitimate child did not escape my calculations either. In our previous life, he also had a secret kid of his own, but kept it hidden incredibly well, so Lu Nuyen never found out. But in this timeline, my sudden appearance forced that kid to finally step out. I secretly leaked a message to Wai Dangthan, letting him know that Lu Nuyen's parents would absolutely never accept him. They would only ever accept a child of their own bloodline. This pushed him over the edge into pure madness, making him publicly expose his relationship with Lu Nuyen. And, without fearing being called a gold digger, to secure his spot, Wai Dangthan demanded marriage and kicked Lu Than right out. He demanded company shares and loads of money. Lu Nuyen's parents could have totally rejected these greedy demands, but for the sake of their precious grandson, they actually chose to pamper him. In the end, everything just vanished into thin air. Wai Dangthan clearly knew that, leaving Lu Nuyen to perish down in that basement, was extremely dangerous. But he did it on purpose anyway. Just like in the previous life, when he intentionally tortured me in this current life, he just. And you can probably guess his twisted logic. By letting Lu Nu Yen fade away, the entire Lu family fortune would be his. Me, I just had to call the cops when Lu Nu Yen was fading, sending him right down to the underworld to keep her company. After all that, my career kept soaring higher, pushing the company to brand new heights. My parents, just like any other typical parents, started urging me to get married, literally mapping out this ideal path they thought was best for me. After I flatly rejected them, my dad felt completely humiliated. So, in his anger, he firmly decided to return to the business world to snatch back control of the company. But only then did he finally realize that everything had completely changed. And his old position in the company had already been fully replaced by me. My dad desperately tried to track down his former partners, friends, and old investors. But every single attempt failed. Defeat after defeat. He finally realized I was no longer a simple pawn he could easily control. I became his greatest pride. Now, he has to rely entirely on me to survive. That was my absolute goal all along. In my past life, the real villains were not just Lu Nu Yen and Wei Dang Than. My own parents were totally complicit. They never attacked me directly, but they abandoned me. They crushed my spirit entirely. You know what? Those quiet bystanders are honestly just as terrible as the actual attackers. Lying in that hospital bed for years, I saw the clear truth of it all. If I stand at the absolute peak, even if I cannot walk, nobody will dare push me aside. Family bonds or close ties, they all slowly pop like fragile bubbles. Only pure power and solid achievements will stay with you forever. That never changes. Epic music swells.